Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. Let's start our day by collectively bowing down in front of Shri Mataji, raising our Kundalini and putting ourselves into Bandhan. take one mantra to Shri Ganesha. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Ganesha Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devi Namo Namaha. So this morning we're just going to keep it very simple and just have silence and a little bit of music and a slightly longer talk, which goes for about 20 minutes, I think, and then some more silent meditation and some more music. So, of course, if you'd like to have longer silences, you can always turn down the sound. So let's get started. Jai Shri Mataji.
one has to think about all these things in the proper light of Sahaja. Unless and until you are realized, my talk is just useless work. But once you are realized, you will know that if you glance at someone, you might suddenly get a headache at the back. You might feel a dart has gone into your head or something has happened. You might feel that you are blinding with somebody's face, and you will get all kinds of experiences by which you will know how important are your eyes. All your nervousness and everything can be cured if you have pure eyes. But it is such a vicious circle that through your eyes you gather all the bad and is accumulated in the agya, and you have to clear the agya to make the eyes clear. It's a vicious circle. But it can start at a point, as I said, we have to ask for forgiveness. Secondly, we have to bring Christ in our agya chakra. Thirdly, we have to give up all drugs and all intoxicants and all smokes. That happens automatically when you are a Sahajogi. It will work out. But eyes express the whole of your being, your brain, your body, your limbs, everything. And if your agya is all right, then your eyes are perfectly all right. They emit nothing but love. Wherever they glance, only with the glance of your eyes you can raise the Kundalini. Only with the glance of your eyes you can cure people. Only with your glance you can bring joy into the destroyed and the ruined people. So these eyes which you see are the windows of your being, of your heart. When the spirit is expressed through your eyes, you must have noticed yourself that when the Kundalini rises, then the eyes become dilated. And a realized soul has got black eyes because they have these eyes are dilated. At least when I see them, they are all dilated black eyes. Apart from that, a realized soul can be made out by his eyes which are sparkling. There's a sparkle like diamonds. They sparkle all the time, and you can make out from the eyes that this person is a realized soul. There's a tremendous difference between a non-realized soul's eyes and the realized soul's eyes. So you can imagine how your spirit sees through your eyes. But if the eyes are not pure, it doesn't stay there long. So if we have to understand Christ, physically we have to respect our eyes. Mentally we have to give up all that is impure in our mind. Now, so we come to the impurities of the mind. And the impurities of mind are, there are so many poisons you know about. I mean, there are books and books written about the poisons. And the psychologists are supposed to take out all your poisons. I don't know if they can do it at all. But they have the worst agya. All these psychologists have the worst agya, and I don't think they are capable of really giving any relief to people who are suffering mentally. Mental sufferings are of two types. The same thing is that one is, vibrations are so much. One type of mental troubles are where people oppress you very much. You see, you go on bearing the cross. Now, this is a very wrong idea people have about Christ. Bearing the cross doesn't mean that anybody who tries to oppress you, you should go on taking the enslavement upon yourself. You are not to enslave to anyone whatsoever. Anybody who tries to make a slave out of you, you should deny it, absolutely. You should say, I am. Who are you to dominate? Anyone, whether you are of a black skin or a red skin or a yellow skin, nobody has right to dominate anyone in this whole world. And if anybody is doing it or what to do now, after all, you see, we are poor people, or we are like this, or he is supporting and all that. then they are running away from their duty towards themselves. Such people cannot get realization. Slaves are not going to become kings. So the slavery that is supposed to be confused with bearing the cross is another confusion of modern times. We have to rise in our self-respect, and we have to understand that no one in this world has a right to dominate us. But then what is bearing of the cross? First of all, the people of his level never suffer. It's just a joke going on. It's a leela. It's a play going on for them. They never suffer. And even if they so-called act as suffering, they just do it because they want to do it. They are not helpless people. They are not slaves. And those who think that by bearing it up and by suffering it, we are becoming Christians, they should know they are psychological cases. And if they are crying and weeping and all the time saying, what to do, you see, I'm in love and my lover tortures me, you are neither in love, neither you have a lover. It is a kind of a psychological clubbing that he is a dominating man and you like his domination, that's why you are together. It's a simple fact. So every human being has his own self-respect, and he must respect his self, that is the spirit within him. And nothing should dominate it. Whether you belong to this country or that country or this ism or that ism, all this will break down under the rule of God. Nobody has the right to dominate anybody's spirit. But when you are given freedom, you go to the other side, that is Mr. Ego. You do not know how to use your freedom. So you try to dominate others. Your freedom means everybody's freedom is in danger. You are on top of everyone and torturing everybody's souls, and you are dominating by land and by properties or by possessions. So either this way or that way, mentally if you are of this category or that category, you are against yourself. Just be in the center and see for yourself. Just be looking at it. Are you emitting love towards another person? If you are a slave, how can you love? You cannot. If you are free and abandoned, how can you love? Love has its own bondages, very sweet and beautiful. You have to live with them. You enjoy those bondages. For a little child will come to your house and he will spoil your house, no doubt, and that he should do. And you should enjoy that spoiling. Then your freedom, if it is challenged by a little child's crying, then you are not wise people. This is abandonment. Or I would say it is loneliness. It is cutting off from the primordial, from the big one, from the large one that you are, is not to be able to tolerate the freedom of others. A child has no freedom to cry in the house. What sort of freedom you conceive of? A mother has no right to say something she wants to say about her child, which is her duty to tell him what is right and wrong. If the son does not have right to eat whatever he likes in his own mother's family, then what sort of freedom do you have? It's such a confusion of things. So this kind of freedom is just the opposite and extreme of enslavement. But in the center is love, where you are bound by everyone. I am bound by my children. Yes, I am. I am proud of them. They bound me, and I bound them too. It's a mutual bounding which we enjoy among ourselves. There is such a give and take when there is such a bondage of love. But do we understand the importance of bondage of love? At the slightest pretext, we break it. Say a wife says, I would like to go out today. Husband says, why? I'm very tired. Don't you understand? Or if the husband says, I feel like eating something, or some particular thing, he says, pancake or something. A small thing. Oh, I'm very tired every time you're divine. If she could just think, by making that little thing, he would be so very happy. She should be dying to know what he wants, and he should be dying to do what she wants, and then enjoy each other's company, or you are wasting all your properties that you have as human beings. You don't know how much you are wasting from each other. Every moment is filled with such beautiful bondages, where exchanges are there. What have you gained? The way you are fighting, the way you are going about, what have you gained? Let me see. When you die, you have to announce in the paper that XYZ is dead, and you find there's nobody. And you have to even pay for people to visit you when you die. This is the case today. Such dryness, such emptiness, such loneliness exists. What have we achieved through this? So this bondage, we have to. And there is no question of sacrifice, you see, the way we must sacrifice for the family. What are you sacrificing? I mean, if you pay for your family, you get the joy out of it. That's why you do it. If you have to lead a nice, good life, you are not sacrificing anything, but you are gaining by that, leading a good life. If your wife says, don't go to the pub, and if you do not go there, then you should not say she is an orthodox, old-fashioned, this, that, and that, but instead you should thank your stars that in these modern times also there's somebody who is telling you the truth. Because the whole edifice has come up. Do you mean to say that truth should not be told? All this is falsehood in which you are living, and if you have to be happy, come down to reality. Friends also same thing. With the friends, what sort of relations we have with our friends? What do we expect from them? Sending them a Christmas card? And then if they don't send, feeling bad about it? There are no deeper bondages. We have not lived with them. If we allow ourselves to be bound by them, they will be bound by us. You better try this. Try to be bound by them. Don't be afraid of anybody else. Just try to be bound by others. And you'll be amazed how much they will be giving you. I am a living example of this. I can tell you, I am a living example of this. I am bound by all of you. If somebody says, Mother, when are you going to leave us? No, I cannot. I am just bound by you. I just do not want to leave because I love you very much. How can I leave you? It's impossible for me. So then, what do I gain out of this love? Everything that is in this world. What do you want me to get? I cannot even count what I can get out of it. Immeasurable ocean. I become an ocean myself. Break your ideas about your own personal freedom and liberation is liberating your intelligence. You are liberating your own wisdom. And the sweetness and the beauty, which is never perishable, whether you are old or young, that is going to be your own. But these poisons that are being built outside and inside you, please throw them away. These are mental poisons. Through Agya, you can take them out. You see, this is an opening also through which many things go out. Try to work it out. Look at the tree with love. And you'll find that the tree itself is giving you the joy of its creation, because you'll become thoughtless. And the Creator who has made that beautiful tree will be pouring all that joy which is stored into it. Every human being is a store of joy. Unlimited. I assure you, believe me. And don't waste them because somebody is not properly dressed, or he is not according to the way you want him to be, which you learnt in your public school. Every doorstep, everywhere there is beauty lying. Do not miss it. But if you have a possessiveness about it, and adultery about it, then you can never enjoy them. You can never enjoy all that beauty, all that store, all that wealth that is in every human being. Every moment it is bubbling. For Agya, it's a good thing. Christmas is coming, and at the time when I have to wish you happy Christmas, that at this occasion I am speaking about Agya Chakra, in which what I said is Agya is one must know what to order and how to obey. Obey the divine. Obey your elders. Obey yourself and not your ego. And then you can order also others. Not only human beings, but you can even order the sun and the moon and all the winds and everything in the world. Everything you can control, everything with this Agya. You try one thing. If you know somebody is going to do something wrong, just take his name and put it to Agya. He'll not do it. Try it. This is a trick I'm telling about for those who are realized souls, not for those who are not yet realized, but those who are realized can try. If the other person is doing something wrong, you can try your Agya. Anything you order on your Agya will be respected, but your Agya must have Christ there, because you have the great support awakened within you, which does not exist here, but into every man's head. It is all pervading into all small atoms and molecules. It is everywhere, into the sun and any place you go. It is there. So try to develop your Agya. That is the mastery of yourself. Those who have a good Agya can master anything and understand that the idea about mastering worldly things and mastering human beings and mastering this, and some of them are mastering in, say, other crafts and things. Best thing is to master your Agya. And you really become the master of yourself, by which you can master many things. And today, on this great day, when I'm wishing you a happy Christmas, I wish you to have the most powerful Agya, that people, when they say your forehead, should know that Christ is reborn again within you. May God bless you.
Let's continue in silence. Jai Shri Mataji. We'll say the last verse of the three great mantras. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Kalki Sakshat Shri Sahasrara Swamini Moksha Pradaini Mataji Shri Nirmala Devi Namo Namaha. Thank you so much for joining us today. The vibrations were just very beautiful. When you're ready to finish up, please bow down in front of Shri Mataji, raise your Kundalini and put yourself into Bandhan. Have an absolutely wonderful day ahead. Jai Shri Mataji.
Thank you.